I do see some value in religious education. I think it's very important that children should learn about religion, but I think it's very important that they should not be indoctrinated in any particular religion. So sectarian schools are evil, but religious education should be a part of the curriculum for any child learning about the great religions of the past and of the present. But no child should ever be told, you belong to this religion, that's what you believe because you belong to that religion.
You're both here on the evening of the first presidential debate for the United States, and I just wondered both of your thoughts on whether you think religion has become too intrusive of a force in U.S. politics, particularly in presidential politics.
Over to Sean.
Please do.
Yes, no question about it, particularly over the last 30 years. And I would want to return to something Richard said at the very beginning, about children being indoctrinated. And when they say people are happy or not happy, I can't imagine that it is a happy situation for, say, a girl, and there's over 1 million of them in fundamentalist schools in the United States, where they are allowed through an exemption in Title IX to be taught that girls should be subordinate and that they must follow the will of the male. With this exemption in Title IX. That, to me, is not a happy thought for the girl in that situation, or for that matter, for a boy who's raised with that viewpoint. I don't think it's a happy situation for him either. That's just one example, but one of the things we're working on at the Richard Dawkins Foundation is to relieve suffering and pain that arises from fundamentalism. And there's no doubt, over the last 30 years, and we'll be talking about this tonight, or I will to some degree, over the last 30 years, we've seen the rise of the religious right, where effectively they now have veto power over one of two major political parties in the United States. That is the exact opposite of what Madison and Jefferson intended with the separation of church and state. And it's a great honor to work with Richard Dawkins because, as you can see from tonight, he's such a catalyst for bringing people together because of his brilliant writing and ideas. But it gives us an opportunity as Americans to maybe stand up for what our own founders intended. And I'm glad he's here because he's actually speaking more for Jefferson and Madison than a lot of times I see politicians today do.
I don't think we should be so pussyfooting about asking presidential candidates what their own religious views are. And I would like to see Mr. Romney challenged for his Mormonism. I don't think it should be a matter of his private belief that should not be subject to scrutiny, because if you actually look at what Mormonism is, the beliefs that they hold are plainly crazy. They are just mad. They're refuted by scientific evidence all over the map. So any man who's sufficiently gullible, credulous, I would even go so far as to say idiotic, as to believe in Mormonism, is in my view not fit to be a president. And I don't think that we should hold back, I don't think journalists should hold back in questioning him. Do you really believe that Joseph Smith was a prophet who translated golden tablets with a magic stone in a magic hat, and translated, though a Victorian man, translated it into 16th century English? I don't think that any man who believes Joseph Smith was a truly inspired prophet, is sufficiently gullible to do that, is fit to be president. That probably means I'm not fit to be American, because it sounds as though I'm violating the separation of church and state. I'm really not. I think that the prohibition on a religious test is absolutely right. I think that voters, journalists, and rival candidates have the right to closely question a presidential candidate about his religious beliefs. And I would say the same of President Obama. He should be closely questioned about his religious beliefs, if any.
Time here in Hawaii, and the things that you've seen, visited, how has that changed or supported your worldview?
Well, I've only been in Hawaii for about 4 days, but it's obviously a wonderful place, a beautiful place. You're very lucky to live here. I wish I lived here. It's also a place of great scientific inspiration, partly because of the biology. It's a very remote archipelago, and that is one of the playgrounds of Darwinian theory, the idea that islands separated from mainland but moderately close to each other is a sort of workshop of evolutionary divergence. and the Hawaiian archipelago was such. It's unfortunately been rather marred by a large number of introductions, which have rather spoiled the picture. The picture in Galapagos, which is a very similar volcanic archipelago of similar age, is rather clearer. Hawaii is also a scientist's paradise in a very different field of astronomy, and we were privileged to go and visit the Keck Observatory on the top of the mountain on the Big Island. That was a most inspiring experience. I was more or less literally moved to tears by the great science that's going on there, and so I've been extremely impressed by my visit to Hawaii, and I look forward to the next one.